Sellars has a condition so rare that doctors have no idea what has caused her lower limbs to grow to more than 15 stone in weight.
So is it very lonely when you have some kind of condition that you feel nobody else has in the world?
Amazingly, at the age of 33, Mandy's lower limbs are still growing. And now she is faced with a huge dilemma. Should she have a double amputation?
I wonder if I had my legs off now, would it be a good thing because it has better health implications?
But Mandy's in a catch-22 situation. A double amputation would remove more than half of her body mass, and the surgery could prove fatal.
Amputation comes at the potential cost of wound infection and potentially death.
But if she doesn't have an amputation, her giant legs may kill her.
With all the weight that she's having to carry around, like, it might just be too much for her heart.
Can I have somebody's help, please? I can't get in.
In a race against time, Mandy's on a journey to discover more about her unique condition and to decide whether a double amputation may threaten her life or save it. Nestling at the foot of the Pennine Hills in the north of England is the former mill town of Accrington. In this small community lives 33-year-old Mandy Sellars.
Mandy is very unique. Mandy's a one-off. Life's hard for her, it always has been, but she's done the best she can.
She's determined in everything she does, and she likes to get forward.
Mandy really is, she really is an extraordinary person.
What makes Mandy so extraordinary is that her legs alone weigh 15 stone. That's 5 stone more than the total body weight of most British women. And even the most mundane tasks require superhuman effort.
I really don't know what it is that makes me cope and makes me get through the day. I just do. It's just some kind of strength of character that I've got, luckily.
Uniquely, Mandy was born with massive lower limbs, and doctors have been astonished their growth has continued.
My legs are still growing. I mean, particularly the left leg, the left knee, and up towards the thigh area. That's got considerably bigger.
At 36 inches, Mandy's left thigh measures more than the average waist, and her feet are approximately 6 times larger than normal. She keeps her left foot covered, as it's so malformed it faces backwards.
I really don't like anybody seeing my left foot. It's not something unless I have to show a doctor that I particularly, want to go around showing everybody. I don't like it myself.
Despite the extraordinary appearance of Mandy's unique lower limbs, remarkably, doctors have never been able to give her a diagnosis. The condition that resembles Mandy's symptoms most closely is Proteus syndrome, the most famous case being the Elephant Man, Joseph Merrick.
Proteus syndrome falls into a group of what we call overgrowth syndromes. The first thing to say about Proteus syndrome is it's extremely rare. Going on the current diagnostic criteria, there's probably about 100 cases in the world.
However, the outward signs of Mandy's condition are different. She was born with abnormally large lower limbs, whereas with Proteus, overgrowth occurs in later infancy. Furthermore, the soles of Mandy's feet are smooth, but in Proteus syndrome, thickening tissue under the skin causes deep grooves. Despite living with an undiagnosed, increasingly debilitating condition, Mandy is fiercely independent and lives on her own.
If I want to do something, then I will try my best to do it, even if physically, it's going to take longer than it would take maybe the average person.
And that includes driving. Just getting into the car with her enormous legs and feet is a challenge in itself.
I do love to drive simply because it's freedom, it's my kind of independence and way of living an independent life that I want to live. I don't think people have a clue that I have a disability when I'm driving.
Mandy is not the sort of person who's just going to sit at home and waste her life away. She's got involved in some voluntary work with the RSPCA, which she's really enjoying. She's doing something useful there.
Mandy can only stand for a maximum of 10 minutes. So when she's away from home, she relies on a wheelchair.
I've got it, I think.
But getting into the chair is a mammoth task.
Oh, flipping heck. Working does kind of give you another purpose in life, because whether it's paid work or voluntary work, which, you know, is what I'm doing, you know, it gives you a reason to wake up in the morning thinking, oh, today's going to be different.
Don't you?
But any physical activity, such as working, could be having a detrimental effect on her health.
If you have an overgrowth of tissues, as Mandy does with her legs, that means that the heart needs to pump a lot more blood around the circulation, and so therefore you are essentially putting a strain on the heart. Now, if she requires to do any kind of physical activity, then you're placing an additional burden on the heart. So this increased burden could ultimately cause kind of burning out of the muscle of the heart.
Mandy's independent lifestyle is also in jeopardy. In the last 3 years, her lower limbs have undergone a continuous growth spurt. She knows that it's only a matter of time before she can no longer walk at all. Mandy's now forced to consider a drastic, irreversible decision: a double amputation of her legs, in the hope that with prosthetics, she may walk again.
I wonder if I have my legs off now, would it be a good thing, because I might be able to walk better? You know, and obviously not carrying so much weight around has better health implications.
In a race against time, Mandy's travelling to America to meet leading experts in amputation and prosthetics to see whether removing her gigantic legs will not only change her life, but potentially save it too. Mandy Sellars' legs and feet have grown to gigantic proportions, and yet amazingly, for more than 3 decades, doctors have been unable to give her and her family a diagnosis of her extraordinary condition.
We've always been in the dark. I mean, even now, I don't think they really particularly know exactly what is wrong.
It is very lonely when you have some kind of condition that you feel nobody else has in the world. You know, I'm like desperate to kind of want to belong somewhere into kind of a group of people that have something similar and knows what it feels like to live like this.
33 years ago, when parents Rodney and June were expecting Mandy, they had no warning there was anything wrong with their baby. But from the moment she was born, she looked different.
Well, my reaction were when I saw her, I thought, blooming heck, like, you know, what is this? I mean, and I'm the father of Mandy, with big enlarged feet and all the rest of it, like, and you think, oh, how sad.
I mean, when they're expecting a child, you expect them to be like a normal child. But when she was born and she was so small, she's not like any other child. You can see your legs are bigger there now.
I said, because there's like nothing in their family, is there, that would indicate that something like that would actually happen?
No, there isn't, no. There's nothing on your dad's side, as I know of.
Mm.
Mandy's doctors had never seen another child born with such oversized lower limbs, and they could offer no diagnosis. Instead, they warned Mandy's parents that the prognosis looked bleak.
They actually more or less said that they didn't expect Mandy to live. So, I mean, and well, obviously that's heartbreaking then, like, you know. And obviously for the wife, I mean, like, she was more or less saying, I've let you down. I said, you haven't let no one down.
But Mandy was a fighter, and when she was a toddler, she amazed doctors who thought her huge legs and deformed feet would prevent her from ever walking.
How she used to get around, she used to run around. I mean, you used to look at her and you think, well, how the blooming heck is she doing that, like? But she just did it.
My bedroom was 2 floors up, and I can still remember to this day kind of running down the stairs. You know, I could ride my bike, and I just think, how on earth did I do that, you know?
To Mandy and her parents, she was just like any other little girl. So when she was 7, it came as a devastating blow to hear her doctor's shocking recommendation.
They actually more or less said, well, I think that the best thing for Mandy would be to have her legs taken off. The wife, she broke down crying and all the rest of it. And I just said, well, you know, what would happen if we did that? He said, well, she would more than likely die. I said, well, there is your answer. No.
Yeah, because when I was 7, I mean, I could like run around, contact all sorts.
You can do everything a normal child could do.
It just seems silly.
But Mandy's colossal lower limbs were seen by others as a hindrance, and it was decided that she should attend a special school for children with physical disabilities.
I think myself and my friends have always kind of described the school as a bit like a little family, you know, because everybody at that school had some kind of difficulty, you know, physically. So it was nice to kind of, you know, be around children that I could have fun with, but also, you know, we appreciated the fact that we all had our limitations.
Today, Mandy's returning to the school she attended for children with disabilities. It was here that she developed the guts and determination to overcome the daily struggle of living with her hugely oversized legs.
The way I look at it, if I don't make the effort like today to come out, I don't have a life. I'm not going to let what's happened to me spoil doing anything. Why should I? I'm not going to spend my life sat in my flat doing not much with my life. You know, my life is too important to me, you know, to just waste it away and then get to the end of the day and you just think, well, what did I do? Nothing.
15 years ago, as a schoolgirl, Mandy had been happily running around and playing football in this school field. But today, she's finding it a huge struggle just to get herself out of the car. And she's forced to confront how her mobility has declined drastically since her school days.
It's quite emotional, really. I've got quite a lump in my throat. It's weird. I think probably because if I look back, being at school was probably the best times of my life in terms of having my mobility. Obviously, you know, comparing then till now, you know, my mobility is totally different, you know, so it does bring a lump to my throat just because how different life is now.
Mandy has come back to see her former teacher, Mrs. Wilkinson. She was instrumental in making Mandy the confident person she is today.
How are you?
I'm really well. How are you?
You look wonderful.
Mrs. Wilkinson saw that Mandy had academic potential and arranged for her to go to a mainstream school to study part-time.
I set it up, but I mean, it was you did it, and you got over your initial trepidation, and I thought you were tremendously brave.
It was quite scary, but I'm glad that I did that because that kind of spurred me and pushed me on in the rest of my life to be able to go to like university and stuff like that. Yeah.
And it couldn't have been easy. It couldn't have been easy.
We all know what kids are like sometimes, you know. I mean, they're quite boisterous, get a gang together and they just have to like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, what the heck's that? So yeah, they did look.
And of course, and the nice thing is that sitting at a desk,
yeah,
quite normal.
As maybe as crazy as it sounds, that was a good thing that happened at that time because that kind of prepared me for going out into the real world, knowing that that was going to happen every single day of my life after that.
They were good years, weren't they?
At 19, Mandy left home and moved to a flat on her own. She was in control, able to walk, and cope well without crutches or a wheelchair. Mandy's legs, it would appear, would not stop her living a full life when at 25 she graduated with a degree in psychology. But when Mandy fell ill and was rushed to hospital, life would never be the same again.
In 2005, she was in hospital, she was in 5 months, well, she almost died, because everything were failing,
The doctors weren't really sure what was wrong with her. She had some kind of infection in her blood and she was really, really ill. And they tried a number of antibiotics and so on, and it took her a long time to get better.
I couldn't move. I was flat on my back for like 4 or 5 months. I just could not move. So because of that, all my muscles had kind of wasted, so I had to learn to walk yet again. When I came out of hospital, and I just couldn't do anything for myself. I couldn't walk properly, I couldn't get to the bathroom properly, couldn't dress myself, couldn't go to the kitchen to feed myself or get myself a drink, put my shoes on, do anything.
It took Mandy 7 months to learn to walk again. Now she has to rely on crutches.
Getting about, walking around is exhausting. I mean, I can't walk far. I couldn't really tell you how far I can walk, but it isn't far at all.
Another reason why Mandy is not as mobile is because in the last 3 years her legs have dramatically increased in size, and this is putting enormous strain on her heart.
Because Mandy's legs weigh in excess of 15 stone, there is therefore an increased demand on the heart. What tends to happen is that the the muscle of the heart starts to burn out, if you like. It can reach a stage where the damage becomes irreversible, and at that point there's an increased risk of death.
Mandy's weight and her ever-growing lower limbs need to be constantly monitored by a dietitian.
Being weighed just gives me an indication, really, of where my weight is going, which is important, because I don't obviously want it to keep going up and up and up. If I can keep it stable or lose any, then that's kind of the main goal.
Did you notice your weight in the scales there?
No, so busy concentrating on balancing.
Oh, okay. Today you were up just about 20 stone, 3.5 pounds. Just come in, sure, you want me to help?
Even though Mandy's on a low-fat diet, it's the abnormal fatty tissue in her legs that's growing out of control. Her torso is purely muscle. Doctors believe her legs may be starving her upper body.
So, in terms of from before, we're up by 0.4 of a kilogram.
Oh, God, again.
Okay? Her legs, they're not going to lose any weight in great amounts. You know, they might vary slightly by a couple of kilograms or a couple of pounds, but they're not going to lose any dramatic amounts of weight. But obviously on the upper half of her body, we don't want her to lose any more weight because she'd be losing muscle when she does that, because she doesn't have any fat stores in the upper half of her body.
As Mandy's legs are continuing to grow, it's essential she strengthens her upper body.
Obviously, as the weight increases, it's going to get harder and harder to actually walk.
Now that Mandy's legs are becoming so heavy that they're endangering her life, she is forced to consider a double amputation. Surgeons in the UK have recommended that Mandy should have her right leg amputated below the knee. They have also advised that amputating her left leg at the hip joint would be one option. But this would leave Mandy unable to sit up without the help of a body brace, and she would never walk again.
That would be just a ridiculous option, considering going from being able to walk to not even to be able to sit up on your own would be just silly.
Undeterred by the bleak prognosis, Mandy has researched other options for amputation, in the hope that she will be able to walk following surgery to remove her legs.
What I particularly want is for them to go as far up the leg that they can to get rid of the weight, but without hindering my ability to actually sit up.
Mandy's left thigh measures 36 inches, so if surgeons removed her leg here, the stump created could be too big for a prosthetic limb to be fitted.
It's even 36.5 now.
Mandy believes the answer to her problems could lie in America.
The whole kind of culture of Americans is going to be really positive about things, and if they can do something, they will try and do it. You know, so if anybody in the world really is going to give me any kind of option to be able to walk after amputation, then hopefully it's some kind of American person.
In less than a week, she will travel to America to meet the world's leading experts in amputation and prosthetics. Wherever Mandy goes, she attracts attention, and she's acutely aware that in America, her enormous lower limbs will make her a spectacle.
I think like any woman, you like to look good, don't you? You know, so it's just a matter of, because I can't really mix and match what I wear from the waist down, I make the most of what I can by wearing what I really, really like from the waist upwards.
Mandy's really, she's really into fashion. She likes nice clothes, but she's got kind of her own kind of style. She likes to look good. She always has to make sure her hair's all done nicely before she goes out. It's important to her that she looks nice, so that she knows even though people looking at her, they're looking at a very smart Mandy with her hair done nicely.
Having like nice hair and looking good on the outside makes you feel good on the inside as well, and kind of gives me probably more confidence, you know, to kind of go out and face the world, I suppose. And when you constantly kind of get people staring and making comments, probably if they've never seen me before, I guess naturally people are like shocked. Looking, you know, once and maybe twice, I can understand that. It's just they take it that little bit further that's not right.
And finally, before her trip to America, Mandy needs to pick up her new shoes. At £2,000, Mandy's hoping these handmade shoes will make walking easier.
Can I have somebody's help, please? Can't get in. Hiya.
As Mandy struggles to make it up the steps, it hits home that her mobility is now in serious jeopardy. With each leg weighing approximately 7 stone, lifting them is a huge effort, which puts a strain on her heart.
Oh. Hang on.
You should do up a lot straighter, which is nice. But that looks, to me, okay. It'd be interesting when we get stood up on that one.
Interrupt me up. Thanks. Cheers.
Well, Mandy, how do you feel?
I feel like I'm stuck to the floor.
Mandy had hoped these shoes would immediately be easier to walk in, but they're going to take some getting used to, and she's disappointed.
I'm struggling in it for some reason.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
Is it picking it up?
I don't know.
Now, more than ever, Mandy needs her trip to America to offer her hope. Best friend Sue will be travelling with Mandy to meet experts in America, as a transatlantic flight is a major challenge for her.
Thanks, all right, thank you.
Mandy is pinning her hopes for a mobile future on this trip. But will she get the answers she's looking for? And will it be worth the immense struggle it will take just to get there?
Oh.
Mandy Sellars is about to make a journey that could determine her future. A rare and undiagnosed condition has made her legs grow to gigantic proportions. Now Mandy has decided to go to America in a search for answers. Here, she will meet world leaders in surgery and prosthetics to find out if a double amputation could help her walk again and save her life.
It is kind of like a now or never situation, really, because I guess what they tell me in America kind of will help me decide one way or another whether I go through the amputation earlier or actually I leave it until as late as possible, because I won't be able to walk after that.
Mandy's travelling with best friend Sue, and she's going to need all the help she can get. For most people, this would be a straightforward experience, but Mandy has many special considerations. On other trips she's made, her wheelchair has been broken, and without it, she's totally stranded.
Under my bum, there's lots of signs on the wheelchair saying, don't do this, don't do that, and don't pull this out, and don't pull that out, so they should know exactly what they're doing with it. Oh, I'm actually stuck, you know. There, I've got them stuck on top of the... Oh. Right, that's it, that's got it.
There we go.
But the wheelchair is the least of Mandy's worries. She faces a massive battle simply to board the plane.
Oh.
Mandy can only stand for 10 minutes at a time, and it takes 15 minutes just to get onto the plane. But she has her own unique way of dealing with the strain and exhaustion.
Come on, come on. I do get quite annoyed with myself at times. I kind of mutter to myself and swear under my breath, but sometimes it's just a matter of like, it might sound a bit odd, but like a mantra. I keep saying to myself, come on, come on, come on, you can do it, that type of thing. And that just kind of spurs me on to kind of, you know, give it everything I've got, give it some welly and get my foot to where I need it to go, so.
Mandy's made the exhausting 8-hour flight to Chicago to meet surgeons and prosthetic experts. But first, she's travelling another 150 miles west to Madison, Wisconsin, to meet Gwen Goose. There are fewer than 100 people in the world diagnosed with Proteus syndrome, and Gwen is one of them. At 14, Gwen made the bold decision to have her right foot amputated.
Gwen would know how I feel, because she's been through the same thing at some point. I could learn quite a lot from Gwen, just the fact that she's had amputation. You know, how does she find life easier or worse, whichever it may be, without the leg that she's had amputated. Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's really good to meet you.
I'll shake your hand, but I don't want you to fall off.
No, it's okay.
Really good to meet you.
Yeah, really good to meet you too. Well, do you want to go inside and have a drink?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Absolutely. Let's
great.
go.
Mandy wants to find out whether life without a limb is something she could even bear to think about.
Do you have any photos of yourself when you did have your leg?
Yeah. This one is a photo of my mom and my legs together. And so you can kind of see the difference in size. This is right before my amputation.
It looks very much like my right foot. So when you actually decided yourself to have the amputation, what was kind of like going through your mind?
I cried immediately. It was very scary to think about it. It was just the initial idea of it was scary. And then after that, I was pretty much like, yeah, I want to do it. I think, you know, I really want to do it.
So do you kind of feel that it's one of the best decisions you've made for your life, that your quality of life is maybe better now than it would have been?
Most definitely, yeah. Probably the best decision I've made. It just kind of was like sucking all the life out of me just to have it there.
You have good days and bad days. You know, when I'm having bad days and I can't walk, say, from the sitting room to the kitchen, I just think, oh, I wish I didn't have them. But then there are other days I think, well, actually, this is part of what makes me me, you know, so why should I get rid of them? You know, so it's a really, I'm like a conflicting in two minds in my head, you know, I'm kind of fighting against myself about when to do it and if it's the right thing to do. What happened to your leg once you amputated it?
Part of it was donated, if you will, to science.
I kind of thought once I have mine, I'll just put them on eBay and sell them. You know, see how much I can get for those.
Mandy's condition is much more severe than Gwen's. This means that if she decides on amputation, the outcome may be very different.
Even though for Gwen it's been a positive experience, nobody knows in reality exactly what it would be like for me. But it does give me hope, you know, that life after may not be as difficult as what I'm imagining it could be.
Now that Mandy knows it is possible to have a good quality of life after amputation, she's making the 800-mile trip to Oklahoma. Mandy's got an appointment at one of the world's biggest prosthetic companies, where Kevin Carroll, a leader and innovator in cutting-edge prosthetic technology, has agreed to assess her. Surgeons in England have told Mandy that they can operate to remove both of her legs, but she doesn't want to have an amputation without knowing whether she will ever walk again.
I have been told that I can have a false leg on my right leg, but not on the left because it would be physically too difficult to fit it and to walk with it. You know, so I'm hoping that somebody somewhere can say to me, you know, we could give this a go and see if this will work, you know, and if there's hope there, then you might as well give it a shot and see if it works.
Now, this knee, where exactly would you find the knee itself, do you think, in here?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
Mandy's hope is that Kevin Carroll will be able to design a false leg big enough and strong enough to fit the large stump she would be left with after amputation.
Right, do you want to pull up your pant leg a little bit?
Kevin's first job is to assess the strength of Mandy's right leg.
The whole idea here, Mandy, is that there's going to be a lot of force. Let's say you have a prosthetic leg. When you stand up, so you stand in the prosthetic leg, you could imagine the force that, you know, you stand there, the force that'll come right up into it. Lift it for me. Like, golly, that's a strong leg you have there. Because you can imagine if you're standing on a prosthetic limb, it's going to have to take your weight somewhere. So there'll still be a lot of pressure up right here. So let's say you had an amputation down here, in this area. What would happen is this entire limb here would be in the socket.
Yeah.
Lift it. You see, that may help you, just having this gone. And, you know, a prosthetic foot there. There's a lot to think about, you know, when we look at this stuff.
Yeah, probably me, yeah.
But that could be a big benefit to you. on that side. It really could.
I feel I may get to a point where I don't have a choice. That my health is suffering due to the weight.
Yeah.
So I have to get rid of the legs.
You know, there's no going back when you make a decision like that.
Very true.
So on this side here, what was the thoughts?
Above knee, definitely. I mean, that's my own choice as well, just because there's no point in getting rid of below the knee because there's just too much of that.
Yeah.
Kevin's never seen a case as extreme as Mandy's. He needs to find out how the bones in her hips are positioned so that he can decide what size and shape a false limb would need to be.
Yes. Whoa.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Just try to relax if you can. Actually, let me show you one of those sockets. And hold there, Michael. You can see that's the bone again that was palpating. That's actually inside in the socket. And the whole concept here is that all of this tissue is contained.
After you've looked at me now, would you be able to fit me with 2 prosthetic limbs so that I could possibly walk in the future?
Yeah, there'd be some difficulty with the crutches and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not going to be running up and down the street.
Well,
but I think it's doable, right? I think there could be some good outcomes for you.
Even though Mandy would be left with abnormally large stumps following a double amputation, Kevin is positive that he will, in time, help her walk again.
When I see Mandy standing up on the legs that she has, I think prosthetically she should find it easier, because the prosthetics are going to be a lot lighter. And, you know, mechanically in the correct position, like the knees are going to flex in the proper area, the feet are going to be proper size. I think life could very well be a lot easier. But I think in Mandy's case, there's a time to make the decision, and it looks like the time is now.
In the next heat of the 60 meters, lane 2, Kirsten.
To keep Mandy's hopes high, Kevin wants her to see what's possible after losing a limb. He's invited Mandy to an athletics meeting where many of the amputees are only able to take part because of the artificial limbs he's designed for them. Each prosthetic solution is tailor-made to suit the individual's circumstances.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'll hop down here on my knees if you don't mind. I'm not going to be able to stand if I don't. So what do you think of all this?
Very inspiring, definitely. You know, it's amazing. Just what people just don't let challenges stop them. You know, just get on with life, don't they? It's amazing. Do you mind me asking how come you actually got no legs now?
Absolutely, yeah. I got hurt over in Iraq.
Okay.
I was at the Army.
Right.
And I got hit by a rocket-propelled grenade, and both legs got amputated above the knees. So it was okay right up until the first time that I got prosthetics on.
Right.
And then it hit me pretty hard.
How long did it take to actually walk then?
I spent two and a half years in a wheelchair, and that is not necessarily the standard. It's just what happened with me. I struggled finding the right combination of leg and socket and prosthetist.
So it gives you kind of a new lease of life in a way.
Absolutely.
As an innovator and expert in prosthetics, Kevin's enthusiasm is encouraging.
He seems, you know, extremely positive where other people may see black and white. He sees the grey areas, you know, and he's willing to kind of try something and maybe give it a go and see if I can actually wear a prosthetic limb, which, you know, you need someone like that on your side who's willing to kind of try and overcome a challenge that maybe he's never come across before.
Mandy's next appointment is with surgeon William Ertle. He comes from a family who have pioneered new amputation techniques. Mandy's chances of walking, once she's had her legs removed, lie in Dr. Ertle's hands.
How big of a request is it for me to see you to try to stand and maybe walk or maybe get into the hallway? Is that too big of a request? Wow. So you can't really go very far, and you don't go very fast.
True.
Let's take a quick look at your legs. Let me just try to hold it. That's very heavy.
If you want me to help you, just say.
If Dr. Ertle is going to amputate, he needs to know exactly where and how Mandy's legs have grown. Mandy's left leg poses the greatest problem. Surgeons in England think one option is to remove the leg at the hip joint, but this would mean Mandy would need a body brace to be able to sit, and she would never walk. She wants surgeons to remove the leg just above the knee, but this will leave her with an enormous stump. Kevin Carroll believes he can design a false leg to accommodate this. But does Dr. Ertl think amputation is possible?
So what do we do? Amputation will reduce the volume of your limb. Amputation will, I think especially for the left leg, comes at the potential cost of wound infection, blood clots, and potentially DVT, and pulmonary embolus, and death. And the fact that even if it's done successfully, with the size of this limb, I wouldn't guarantee that you get into prosthesis. That's kind of a hard pill to hear, and it's hard words to hear. You're a strong-willed person to go this far. And I wouldn't give up that motivation and that strength. As a physician now sitting over here, it's be a challenge.
This devastating news isn't what Mandy travelled thousands of miles to hear.
To some respects, I kind of knew some of the answers I was going to be given, but in the back of my mind, there's always that little bit of hope that something's going to go the way I want it to.
There's no guarantee that following amputation, Mandy would be able to walk using prosthetic limbs, and there's a risk that surgery might kill her. So Mandy's made the difficult decision not to have her legs amputated until absolutely necessary.
Why get rid of legs that still do work? Limited, yes, you know, they are, but I can still walk. You know, but I won't get rid of what I've got until they're completely useless.
She's leaving America without the answers she's been looking for. But back home, she's about to be offered a glimmer of hope. Amazingly, at the age of 33, Mandy Sellars' massive lower limbs are still growing, and doctors don't know why. It's getting harder to walk, and her huge legs are putting strain on her heart. Amputation seemed like the only option, but doctors warned that the surgery could kill her. So Mandy made the tough decision to keep her legs until she has no choice but to have them surgically removed.
At times they can be pretty useless, these things, but they're me, they're part of me. And really, do I want to get rid of part of me until I absolutely have to? No, I don't. It's partly what makes Mandy Mandy.
Because Mandy's legs are staying, it's more important than ever that she gets a definite diagnosis, so that surgeons will understand her condition when she does decide to have her lower limbs amputated. Doctors have linked Mandy's overgrowth to Proteus syndrome, a condition which most famously affected the elephant man. Today is a turning point for Mandy, as a leading genetics expert is investigating her unique condition. Dr. Sue Hewson, a consultant in clinical genetics at St Mary's Hospital in Manchester, has asked Mandy to meet her for a consultation.
It feels good. I'm really kind of positive and I won't say hopeful, but just pleased, really, really pleased that someone is actually taking the time to kind of look into something and just to kind of help me. It's like I'm being noticed at long last. I'm not being left or pushed by the wayside to get on with my life.
I know you've been examined thoroughly in the past, so can I just look at your arms? Maybe if you just put... You just don't have an ounce of fat, do you?
No, not a lot at all.
And that's the same all over the top. Right, okay. What I'm looking at is the skin is perfectly smooth and normal, yeah? What's important for me is to look under your foot. How's the best way to manage that?
I'll just lift it up and you pull it
Okay.
up.
So again, you see, that's beautifully smooth, and most of it. And that's, again, I think, a big change from what we'd call the classical Proteus. I can probably tell you how it would have started, because has anybody mentioned mosaicism to you before? Have you heard that?
All humans start life as a single cell. To develop, that cell divides into 2, then 4, then 8, and so on. Each time the cell divides, the genes inside copy themselves. People who are genetic mosaics start with a cell containing normal genes, but when the cells divide and copy, a mistake occurs. Faulty cells, seen here in white, copy and divide at the same rate as the normal cells. The result is a mixture of normal and abnormal cells, known as mosaicism. Dr. Hewson thinks that Mandy is a genetic mosaic, and this explains why her upper body is so small, and yet her legs are so incredibly large.
So we may end up saying nobody's ever seen another Mandy. And that may be because it's a unique form of mosaicism.
Yeah.
I think there's a real possibility that when we've exhausted all the things that we can do over the next year, we could then be saying it's Mandy syndrome.
It'd be fantastic in a kind of a weird way if I had something that nobody else has ever had. You know, to have a syndrome in some sense named after me that is here, you know, way, way after I'm dead, that would be kind of cool. It really would.
Mandy now knows that she is unique. But whilst amputation still remains a very real possibility, Mandy is determined to make the most of her life.
Hopefully the future for Mandy will be a good future, positive future, a mobile future, and she'll just hopefully continue to enjoy her life as she does now.
I think that Mandy could achieve a fair amount in her life, like really, because whatever she sets her mind to, Mandy will do.
It might sound a bit odd to say, but maybe, you know, I have to start kind of celebrating the fact that I have these legs while I have them. Because maybe in 4 years' time, something like that, I may not have them. You know, so it's kind of like just being happy with who I am.
Mandy Sellars has a very rare condition. She was born with extremely large legs, and throughout her life, they've continued to grow.
The way that Mandy looks is totally unique.
Mandy had to have her left leg amputated in 2010, but the operation has caused her stump to grow bigger and bigger.
I've put 3 stone on in 2 years. Another 2 years, it could be another 3 stone.
Now her continually expanding lower limbs are threatening her independence.
I'm 37. I don't want to be bedridden, and that's not the way I want to live my life.
Mandy has reached crisis point.
It's got to stop. Something has got to be done, or else it's going to have really negative consequences for Mandy's future.
And it's not just Mandy's future at stake. 3-year-old American Emily Blankenship has a similar overgrowth condition.
The genetic alteration which Mandy and Emily have is not identical, but it's extremely close.
Now, Dr. Robert Semple has taken Mandy's case on, and in a major breakthrough, believes he has found a drug which could help Mandy, and eventually Emily too.
I think that we can potentially stop the abnormal growth of your legs.
Wow. The medication has to work. It's my only chance. It's my last chance.
But can this tiny pill really shrink Mandy's giant legs? "37-year-old Mandy Sellars from Accrington in Lancashire was born with giant legs. Until 2010, she could walk, which meant she could live her life without being dependent on others.
Mandy's fiercely independent, and she's extraordinary because she keeps going.
Her amazing positivity and strength and determination is something that you don't find in many people. It's quite a unique thing.
Because Mandy always finds ways of doing things. Obviously, some other people might just say, well, I'm going to give up, but that is not Mandy.
But in 2010, Mandy developed an infection in her left foot and had to have it amputated.
Mandy doctors thought that when Mandy had a leg amputated, life would improve. But in reality, it's actually become a lot harder.
In a cruel twist, the operation has triggered faster growth in Mandy's stump, as in the past liposuction has also done.
Well, the stump just won't stop growing.
Okay, done this a few times.
It accelerated, and it went bigger, didn't it, for some unforeseen reason.
Today, Mandy is at the Specialist Mobility and Rehabilitation Centre in Preston with her friend Sue, having her stump measured.
104, 107. So as I'm going down, you can see that we've got a volume increase. That's a 110.
Mandy's leg is 6 centimetres wider than when it was last measured 3 weeks ago.
Somewhere in me, there's something that's saying, you must grow, and there's nothing that stops it. It just simply carries on and carries on.
Mandy's stump is now over 1 metre in circumference, and there's no indication this accelerated growth is slowing down.
When was the last time that you were weighed?
Maybe about 3 weeks ago, that's a guess. And that was 20 stone point, maybe 13 or 12, something like that. So it's gone up a couple of pounds.
Since Mandy's leg was amputated in 2010, she has put on 3 stone.
There's absolutely nothing I can do to stop that from happening, so, yep, not surprised at all.
And having to cope with legs that are growing larger each day is having a devastating effect on Mandy's mobility.
Thank God it ain't working. Come on.
Everyday tasks like getting on the bed are a struggle.
For 2 years now, I've been housebound. There's no way that I can go out of my home to visit a friend, go to a concert, go to the cinema. I just can't do it.
What makes Mandy's physique extraordinary is that her ever-expanding legs are starving her upper body. From the waist upwards, she has less than 5% fat, equivalent to a male triathlete.
She's carrying more and more weight around, an extra 3 stone, and obviously it's difficult having to move a whole weight with her arms. Now she's starting to have problems with her arms as well. She's getting a bit of arthritis.
After Mandy's left leg was amputated, she was very keen to walk again.
I always thought that if I did have a false leg, that it would make life easier because it would be lighter, but actually it makes it a whole lot harder to walk.
And as Mandy's lower limbs continue to increase in size, the prospect of walking again seems further away than ever.
The thing that I find difficult about putting a leg on is to actually push my stump into the bottom of the socket. Sometimes you can't get the fat exactly into the socket too well.
It's going in anyway.
It is. I've got to make sure I'm far enough in before I stand up, otherwise it just doesn't work because you can't get the balance right.
Not far enough now.
Sometimes it's just a case of winging it and see what happens, really.
Mandy has now started to outgrow her 3rd tailor-made prosthetic limb.
1, 2, 3. No. I think, because the bed's low, I'm just pushing into that rather than...
Ready?
OK, let's go for it. 1, 2, 3. Oh, come on. I'm not you. The leg. Ugh.
That's it. Well done.
Uh-oh.
So, how does that feel? You can see if you can try and move the right foot, or do you not feel balanced enough? All it'll do is slide, isn't it?
Just getting into her false leg has exhausted Mandy, and she hasn't the strength to try to walk.
Oh. Are you OK, yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't click your leg?
No, I forgot. It just didn't feel balanced because I felt like I was on my tiptoes.
It's probably because that's grown, hasn't it? So you're not going in as far.
No,
so it's sitting higher. And that makes it doubly as difficult to move your right foot, doesn't it?
I don't know what the answer is, do you? It's hard work.
Mandy's condition is undiagnosed and untreated. Now she has reached a crisis point. She's desperate to find a way to stop her legs from growing.
And there has to be some treatment found, because if it isn't found, I mean, goodness knows what's going to happen. We don't know.
Well, she should possibly be totally immobile then.
Well, that's right.
Completely lose her independence.
But there is hope. In August 2010, clinical endocrinologist Dr. Robert Semple from Addenbrooke's Cambridge University Hospitals Trust decided to find out why Mandy's giant legs continue to grow.
I've never to date seen anybody like Mandy. She certainly has an extraordinarily rare problem. I was fascinated by the possibility that there was a genetic mutation which affected only the lower part of her body but not the other part.
Dr. Semple knew Mandy's condition was caused by a genetic mutation, so he and his team at the Wellcome Trust Sangar Institute set out 3 goals: to isolate the rogue gene, to find out how it works, and to look for medication to stop it. The team began with a series of intricate DNA tests.
We took samples from both her leg and her arm. We grew them in the lab. We extracted some DNA from those samples. We actually then read the sequence of all the genes, and we asked the question, is there only one or a handful of changes which we can find in the leg, but not in the arm?
Dr. Semple and his team are determined to find the rogue gene, which is causing the cells in Mandy's lower limbs to grow uncontrollably. But genetic research takes time, something Mandy is running out of. Mandy Sellars' left leg was amputated in 2010, but it's caused her lower limbs to grow bigger than ever. If a treatment is not found soon, she will be forced to move home.
This wheelchair that I have, I'm kind of outgrowing it widthways, but if I got a bigger wheelchair, I wouldn't be able to get into the bathroom because I only just fit. So the major consequence of keeping on growing is I would have to move. This has been my home for 10 years. You know, I wouldn't want to have to move just because this silly leg is growing.
Mandy was born with larger than average legs and unusually shaped feet.
They didn't actually let my mum see me for about 2 weeks, I think it was. The doctors weren't sure what it was, and the only thing they actually said to my family was that they didn't expect me to live beyond 2 weeks.
But Mandy defied the doctor's expectations.
We didn't know what was wrong with Mandy. Eventually, Mandy, she started walking in her own way, didn't she, and doing whatever, like, you know.
When I was at school, my condition didn't really hamper anything that I ever did. I could run around and I could play football, which I loved doing.
I mean, we went to see a lot of these ear specialists, didn't we? First thing what this ear specialist said, we think it would be better if we take both Mandy's legs off.
In fact, the amputation of Mandy's left leg in 2010 has actually made her life much more difficult. Her huge stump makes it hard to use a prosthetic limb.
Well done.
And she also has a problem with her remaining leg because she can no longer lift her right foot.
The foot drop prevents me from walking, so my foot is just like that and the muscles in the ankle don't work.
Mandy's search for someone to help her overcome her foot drop led to Bob Watts, a prosthetic expert who created the false limb which Heather Mills used in Dancing on Ice. Today, Mandy and Sue are in Dorset, so Bob can assess her problem.
Morning. I'm fine, thank you. Hopefully he's going to be able to either make something or may have something that'll help. I know how unique I am and my situation is, but he's the expert, so he'll know whether there is anything that he can make that will help. We'll have to just wait and see. For me to stand up, I need the foot flat on the floor and the toes flat on the floor to kind of push myself up. But then once I am stood up, I need something that brings the toes up to be able to flick through to walk. So it's kind of like I need two things in one, really.
Yeah. The only thing I'm worried about, Matthew, is at the back there. At this stage, I really don't know what the outcome will be. I'm not sure whether we can help or not. I'll need to see what function she has got at the moment. Have you got any movement in the ankle?
Nothing. Not at all.
How long has that been like that for?
Since 2005.
That movement now is a lot more than when we had it before. Let's just put it down on the floor. OK. Well, I think we ought to have a go. I think we can do something.
I'm pleased that, you know, you're going to give it a go at least to see what happens.
We do tend to deal with some really unusual cases. And I'd say that you're quite unusual.
I think the nicest possible way.
It sounds crazy, but I thought it was going to be a bit bigger.
Right.
I thought your leg's not as big as I thought it was going to be.
Mandy and Sue have travelled to Cambridge to meet endocrinologist Dr. Robert Semple. He's been searching for the rogue gene that causes Mandy's legs to grow, and he's told her that he has some important news.
I'm just kind of a bit nervous, I guess, because you kind of don't know what he's going to say, do you? You hope that if someone's giving you some news, it's going to be good news.
Quite a bit of science, I'm afraid, this morning, which I hope is interesting and helps you understand what's going on. So, as you know, we took a skin biopsy from your arm and from your left leg. We've used the best available technology to answer the question, can we find any changes in genes which are in your leg, but not in your arm?
No.
Mandy's been a medical mystery for decades. Now, at last, Dr. Semple can give her a diagnosis.
Among the changes we found is one which I'm 99% certain that this is the reason that your legs have been growing so much all your life.
Dr. Semple has discovered that Mandy has a mutation in a gene called PIK3CA in her lower body. In normal cells, a growth signal is switched on only when the body needs to grow. But in Mandy's case, the rogue gene causes this signal to be constantly switched on, so that her lower limbs keep on growing out of control. This is a life-changing moment for Mandy. For the first time, she knows what makes her body unique.
To me, it's unbelievable that you actually have found it, you know, I mean, it's not often I'm kind of lost for words, really, but I just really am, because it's just, I never ever thought anybody would. I mean, you know, it's taken 36 years to find someone to even look at it, you know, to look at my case and have the technology really out there to look at my DNA and try and find anything. So, you know, thank you. That's all I can say, really.
Mandy is the first person in the world to be diagnosed with this specific mutation.
Sellars syndrome, here we come. I'm going to get it in there one day.
Dr. Semple's research has also revealed why the genetic mutation occurred.
All of us start off as one cell, one fertilized egg cell. And by the time we become adults, we probably have something like 100 trillion cells in our body. And every single time that cell divided, all 3 billion letters of our DNA code have to be copied. And that's astonishing. And if I asked you to copy out as fast as you could every book in the Harry Potter series in the next half hour, and then keep doing that for the next 10 years, you would make lots of mistakes. That's more or less what happens in the human body. And so we imagined that some very early stage of development had led to a mistake being made, which by plain bad luck fell in a gene which is important for regulating cell growth.
And Dr. Semple's research has confirmed Mandy's genetic mutation isn't inherited.
Doesn't mean that you can look back in your family and see that one of your parents would have had it and work out the inheritance. This is a mistake, an unlucky mistake that happened.
Knowing they didn't pass on the condition is especially important to Mandy's parents.
I kind of do get the feeling that they may have thought in the past that the condition I have was due to something one of them or both of them did, you know, but obviously today definitely rules that out, that whatever happened was just a freak accident, if you want to call it that.
Well, after like 37 years of thinking maybe it's something that we'd done wrong or whatever, to realise it weren't.
It's a great big relief, isn't it? To think, well, no, we are not guilty.
Mandy has always dreamed of getting a diagnosis, but thought it would be impossible to find a treatment for her condition. Dr. Semple has achieved the unthinkable.
I think that we can potentially stop the abnormal growth of your legs. I hope that in the next few months we'll be in a position where we have a serious chat again about actual medicines that we want to try.
It's just like, really? You know, am I hearing you right? It's just so unbelievable, I think, that has actually happened in my lifetime, that I think it'll take quite a bit of time for it to actually sink in.
I think that we'll be able to use some medications which are already available in the clinic.
Right.
And I think we have a reasonably good reason for suspecting they will reduce the rate of cell growth in your legs. Who knows, perhaps even that it starts to shrink.
It sounds maybe dramatic to say, but it's nothing short of a miracle. I'm just feeling like, I can't describe it, it's just a bit like, wow, but in the same sense, I don't believe it, you know, because it's taken all this time for someone to say, well, we found the gene. Like I said, I never ever thought that would really happen in my lifetime. It's been a really interesting morning, that's for sure. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
But Mandy will have to wait for Dr. Semple to do further tests before he can prescribe potentially life-changing medication. For Mandy, finding a treatment is not just about improving her own future. 2 years ago, she was contacted by Adrienne Blankenship from Virginia in America, who had recently given birth to twins. One of her babies, Emily, looks remarkably like Mandy did when she was a child.
Emily has an overgrowth condition. She was born with extra large feet that were actually shaped like hands.
Researching her baby daughter's condition online, Adrienne found photographs of Mandy when she was a child and sent her an email.
Seeing those pictures, it really made me go, oh, wow, because she definitely looks Emily looks so much like Mandy in the face and the body and the upper body and all of that. Emily's legs aren't as big, but I could still see some similarities, and we knew from the beginning that this is who we need to talk to.
Adriana told me about how she felt when Emily was born, and she used to hide Emily away in a sense, or cover her up if she was in a pram. Talking with me made her realise that she didn't need to cover Emmy up, and just to let her daughter kind of live her life.
Later in the year, Emily and her family are coming to Britain to meet Mandy and her medical team. Two months ago, Mandy met with Bob Watts, a prosthetic specialist who believed he could help her walking by preventing her right foot from dropping.
Hi.
Hello.
Long time no see.
It is, isn't it?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. How are
Good.
you?
Bob has made a silicone sock to help support Mandy's foot.
Slide your foot into there. Okay, and then if we lift it up, we can put the Velcro on.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The device we've made her to try and lift her foot up, I think, providing she hasn't grown at all, should do the trick. I think Mandy's pretty positive about it, so I'm sure we'll be able to get her walking. So I'd say if we move you around.
Throughout my life, medically, there have been certainly ups and downs. I've come to the point where now, if this doesn't work, I don't know what else there is left to do in terms of helping me with a foot drop. One,
sure?
and a half.
You don't look very happy.
I know, it's like just something new, isn't it? I don't
Yeah.
cope well with change when anything's... Okay.
I'm just going to put my knee in
1,
front.
2, 3.
Very good.
Hang on. I need to get that independence back that I lost 2 years ago, and I'm striving forward every single day, every single week, every single month to try and do that. But obviously there's always certain obstacles that are in my way. I can't move myself forward. It's easier. It's just that it's the confidence. I know with me, I know what it is.
A bigger step every time you do.
Bob's new device has helped Mandy take her first steps in a long time, but unless she's able to reduce the size of her ever-growing lower limbs, it will remain extremely difficult for her to walk.
No.
In Cambridge, Dr. Semple believes he may have the solution to Mandy's problems. He's found a drug he thinks may shrink her giant legs, but he doesn't know if it will work, and it can have serious side effects. After 37 years, Mandy Sellars has at last had her condition diagnosed and is hoping she will soon be able to take medication to switch off the rogue gene which causes her lower limbs to grow. Mandy has decided to mark this momentous turn of events by creating a permanent reminder of her rogue gene.
Since Dr. Semple said to me that he'd found the gene that causes why my legs grow, I thought, well, I've finally found an identity. I actually know what it is now, and all these years I've been kind of wondering. So I decided that I'd like a tattoo done. Yeah, this is the design I've got now. Okay. What do you think? My idea was, obviously, because it's caused by a gene mutation, I thought the DNA double helix sign would be good, and to have the chemical symbol of the gene either inside or on the outside of the actual double helix. A permanent reminder of who Mandy Sellars is at long last, and kind of something to be proud of, I think. So we'll see how it goes.
I've never seen Mandy have a tattoo before, so I hope it doesn't hurt her too much. I don't really want to watch her in pain. But yeah, hopefully it'll look really good at the end.
See whether it makes you want one.
I don't think I'll be having one, man. Mandy's been through obviously a lot. She's had a leg off, so having a tattoo is really nothing compared to having your leg amputated.
Have that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I think she'll go fine with it. I don't think she's going to have a problem.
It does hurt a bit, but because it stops and starts, it's not a pain that's continuous, so you can kind of deal with it.
There we go, complete.
Super, that's good, right, thank you.
Do you like it?
Shall we do put it in?
That's really good, yeah.
I think it's really, really good now it's done. I think it certainly looks better that the writing is over the top rather than inside, because it just wouldn't have worked at all.
So, yeah, I'm really, really pleased with that. Done a good job.
Since isolating her faulty gene, Dr. Semple and his team have been experimenting on tissue samples taken from Mandy's leg. They found the drug rapamycin stops the signal that makes the cells continue to grow. The drug is currently used to prevent the rejection of kidney transplants and may become a cancer treatment in the future.
Rapamycin is a very valuable drug in medicine, which blocks growth of cells in the body, especially cells which are rapidly growing.
But the new treatment is not risk-free. It can cause breathing difficulties and it suppresses the immune system.
It's really exciting to know that there's a drug that Mandy could take that could stop her legs from growing. But obviously, on the other side of things, there's side effects that you've got to worry about.
Sue wants to help Mandy weigh up the pros and cons before she makes a decision as to whether or not to try the new medication.
Well, so the leg shrinking, that's going to lead to increased mobility, you would hope, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
More independence. So obviously more independence means my ability to go out on my own, because I can't do that at all now without you or without somebody else with me, can I?
Yeah.
I'm 37. You know, I don't want to be bedridden until I'm 86 or something. You know, that's not me and that's not the way I want to live my life. I guess we need to move on to the cons, I suppose, don't we? There's more side effects that concern me than others.
Yeah. The fact that it might depress your immunity, that's obviously a really big one. That's a major thing. If you were to start taking the drug and contract pneumonia in the first week, then that would be pretty devastating, wouldn't it, really?
So I think the inability to heal properly is the one that concerns me because I don't already heal very well. The thing that just popped into my head is about not taking rapamycin. Because I can't see any pros to not taking it. The cons are that the leg will continue to grow.
Of course it is, yeah. Cons, increased weight gain and decreased mobility.
So
we seem to have more pros than cons.
We do. I don't want to wonder when I get a few years down the line, what if? You know, I think a lot of us go through life wondering what if, and this isn't one of the what ifs I want to have. I want to give the drug a go. Hopefully I can start taking it as soon as possible.
OK, so shall we get the shoe off and have a look at this toe?
Yeah, see if it looks like it needs something doing to it as well, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Mandy has decided to take the new drug prescribed by Dr. Semple, but it can slow down healing, so she needs to get a minor operation done first. She has an ingrown toenail.
Yeah, it's all the skin growing over the side of the nail. So it doesn't look the best,
it's
does it?
It's that side, isn't it? It's worse than the other. It just seems to have grown quite a lot in the last month or so.
Yeah.
Sue regularly cleans and checks Mandy's foot for any signs of infection.
It's not bleeding too much today,
Not today, no.
Nails growing right into the sides, isn't it?
Having this toenail removed is definitely kind of the last hurdle before I do start the medication. I say my worry is that if they say they can't take it off for whatever reason, that will possibly make me think twice about going on the medication because of the possible side effects of getting an infection. It could lead to septicemia, which may mean amputation. I mean, yeah, that's an extreme example, but that could happen because that happened last time with my left foot.
The medical team from the Royal Blackburn Hospital begin by thoroughly examining Mandy's foot.
This is an ultrasound probe.
Yeah.
And we're just looking to see what the Doppler signal is.
Like a pulse.
That's right. What I want to make sure is that the circulation is not going to be affected. It shouldn't be.
There we go. Is it a boy or a girl?
We have a signal.
Do you think? Oh, okay.
So this flap has grown right over it, nearly an inch all the way around there. Oh, we can see that. Okay.
Mandy feels very little sensation in her lower limbs.
Do you feel any pain at all there, Mandy?
Not at all. I mean, occasionally I'll get like a throbbing sensation, and it seems like it's my foot, but I won't know where on my foot it is. But you can stick a needle in it like it's doing now. I can't feel a thing at all. Nothing. I can't feel it, so to me, get down there, whip it out, it'll be fine. You know, so I think they're more worried about it than I am.
Even though it was firmly attached at the bottom, and it was firmly attached at the bottom, to be honest, it's quite loose. It's come away really easily. Mandy, would you like to keep your nail? Some patients do.
No, you can gladly dispose of that, thank you.
Right, Mandy, done and dusted. You did great.
Thank you very much.
You know where we are if you need us.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Nice to see you again.
And you.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Mandy must wait 6 weeks for her toe to heal before she can begin her potentially life-changing treatment. A month later, and it's a big day for Mandy.
All right, you guys ready?
She's finally going to meet 3-year-old Emily from Virginia, who shares the same faulty gene and has a similar overgrowth condition. She's flown over from America with her parents and her twin brother Michael.
Who are we going to meet?
For the last 2 years, Emily's family has been getting advice and support from Mandy over the internet.
I'm feeling excited but apprehensive. She's never seen me kind of fully, because obviously when we talk over MSN, you know, Skype or something, then she sees me from the waist up. So I'm worried she might be a little bit scared of me, which is natural for kids that age to be, but hopefully she'll be excited enough to kind of look past that and say, oh, it's Mandy. Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
Emily's overgrowth condition makes her appearance strikingly similar to Mandy's at the same age.
Emily!
Hello!
Is that Mandy?
Here, do you want to get out?
You go say hi?
You go say hi. Come on.
Hello.
How are you? What did you say you were going to do? You were going to give Mandy a big hug?
Are we going for a big hug or we go for a high five? Hey, high five. We have a little present for you.
Oh.
The Lion King, and we have a Dalmatian. Who wants what?
Which one?
I think we got it.
That is
We got
Simba.
it?
Wow.
Say thank you.
Can you say thank you?
Say thank you.
Oh, yay. We're here now to feed the tigers. I said if my knees are knocking, but I haven't got one to knock.
Meeting Mandy, it has been one of the most amazing experiences I've had in my life.
Thumb and finger touch it. Just go for the mash where his mouth is. Absolutely perfect.
It's got a runny nose.
Start intake.
She's a strong woman, and I want my daughter to be like that. Mommy loves meerkats.
But getting Mandy's oversized wheelchair into the meerkat enclosure is a struggle.
It's on a bit of a slope, that's a problem. Whoa.
Chris knows that without a cure, his daughter will face similar challenges.
Kamikaze meerkat.
Guys, come on.
When I look at Mandy and think of Emily in the future, it is a little disheartening because you don't want her to have to struggle to that extent. But at the same time, to see how strong Mandy is and how she's been able to cope and go on with her life despite all these troubles is also very reassuring.
Emily's mother wants to know all about the new drug Mandy is going to start taking.
What we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, and you know, we were talking about rapamycin.
Right.
I'm actually starting that in a few
That's
weeks.
great.
So, fingers crossed. I mean, Dr. Semple said he's hoping that at least it may stop the growth, if not start shrinking it.
It's going to be amazing for you, but I hope it's amazing for us. Not that we want you to be the guinea pig or anything like that, but...
I don't mind being a guinea pig if it works for me, and then subsequently it helps Emmy, you know, then it's worth taking the chance, isn't it? She's so young, and if she started taking something like that and it stopped the growth, I mean, that would be fantastic. It opens up the whole world, doesn't it, for her, really?
Yes.
So hopefully if it can help her, that would be amazing. It really would. So.
Thank you for being such a... I'm already going to cry. For being such an amazing role model.
The next day, Mandy, Sue and the Blankenships go to Addenbrooke's hospital to meet Dr. Semple.
Hello, at last.
Hi.
Mandy, Sue, hi. Very well. And just straight down at the end of the corridor. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yet again, Mandy. Always a pleasure. When did you very first become aware of the overgrowth? Was that apparent as soon as Emily was born?
I had her at 28 weeks, and we just noticed that her feet were misshaped. So we actually had...
Emily has been diagnosed in America as having a mutation in the same gene as Mandy.
We now know that the genetic alteration which Mandy and Emily have is not identical, but it's extremely close. However, looking at them as people, they clearly have different patterns of overgrowth. And I think that's because different parts of their bodies carry this mutation.
Mandy's overgrowth affects her body from her waist downwards, whereas Emily's affects her chest as well as her legs. Dr. Semple hopes the new drug he's found to treat Mandy's condition may also work for Emily, although her young age makes her case more challenging.
I always feel more comfortable as a physician dealing with adults whose growth period has finished, and there's a whole new set of issues in somebody as young as Emily. The idea will be to target the abnormal cell growth while letting normal increase in height carry on. But in any treatment given in childhood, for example, even giving steroids for asthma, it's something which has to be thought about carefully.
Despite the risks, Mandy hopes she can be a human guinea pig for Emily.
After you, Mandy.
So she should take the medication and she won't have the problems that I've had. So that will be fantastic for her. And for me to see that, you know, if it does stop her legs from growing and see how her life is different maybe than what mine has been.
I'm excited about what the future will bring for Emily and her condition, and Mandy for that matter.
Little Emily has given Mandy even more motivation to try the new medication in the hope it will eventually help both of them. The big day has arrived. It's time for Mandy to have her final tests and measurements at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge before she begins the treatment which may change her life.
Today I shall be starting the medication that will hopefully stop my legs from growing, if not shrink them, fingers crossed, and it's just a momentous day.
In 2010, 7 months after her left leg was amputated, Mandy had a body composition scan. 2 years later, that scan has just been repeated to see how much her lower limbs have grown. Dr. Vicky Parker has the results.
So how much weight have I actually put on since the last scan then? Does that show that on there?
Well, the last scan, I happen to know you were 115 kilograms.
Right.
And you've gone up 15 kilograms since that time. But what this scan tells us is that that is pretty much all fat, effectively.
Right. Yeah.
And that's about sort of 3 stone.
Okay. And that was interesting comparing the results from 2010 to today. Obviously, I knew that my weight had gone up, but sometimes when you see it written down in black and white, that's the proof, isn't it?
In terms of that distribution, what we know is that you're very, very unique. So we just don't really have a benchmark to go from. But what will be important will be comparing your measurements now and sort of going forward from that viewpoint.
Okay. Before I start taking the medication, I've had to have various tests. A lot of it has been blood taking and glucose tests to see how my body's coping.
What is it? It's this side, isn't it? No, we're not going to be able to.
As long as the blood results come back OK, then hopefully I should be able to start the medication soon, very soon.
These tests are the final obstacle for Mandy before she can start her treatment.
The medication has to work. It's my only chance, it's my last chance. And if it doesn't, I don't really want to think about what will happen if it doesn't work. I don't see there being any options.
That all seems fine. Your lungs are lovely and clear and your heart sounds nice and healthy.
OK.
Mandy's clean bill of health means she can now take her first pill.
So I have in my hands some tablets. So there you are.
Thank you very much.
And time will tell what happens.
OK.
OK, so exciting times.
Indeed, absolutely.
Bye for now, lady.
OK, thank you.
The moment has arrived. This little white pill could be exactly what Mandy has needed for over 37 years. But will this new medication shrink her giant legs?
It's like a little miracle in a pill, isn't it, really? Because it can just... something that small can do something so major to a human being. It's the start of the journey.
3 days later, there's no sign of any side effects, so Mandy is allowed home. She spends the next 12 weeks taking the daily pill she hopes will change her life. Waiting to find out if the medication will work is stressful. To relieve some tension, Mandy and Sue decide to distract themselves with a new hobby. They are learning how to shoot clay pigeons.
Great. Cheek on the comb. That's better. Much better. Can you see my finger?
Quite excited about giving it a go. Well, I'm not confident I'll hit anything, but we'll try.
The way it goes off.
Yep.
It'll be like that. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so hold on to that.
I try not to let anything hold me back. Obviously, having one leg holds me back quite a bit at the moment, but obviously it's not held me back from coming here today to do this.
Fine.
Oh, too high. Life's too short not to kind of give things a go if you want to give it a go, I say.
On its way, get in front. Right. Yay!
Oh, yes.
Great shot.
3 months after starting to take rapamycin, Mandy has experienced only minor side effects. Today, she will find out if the drug is working. Mandy is back at Addenbrooke's Hospital to have another body composition scan.
Hiya.
Hi, Mandy. How are you? Hi, Sue.
This scan will re-measure her body fat to see if there have been any changes since she started taking the medication.
Well, this is the moment, isn't it? It is, yeah. The proof of the pudding. So to kind of be sat here now having a scan that may show that I've lost, you know, quite a bit of fatty tissue, that's kind of like a life-changing moment, I suppose, to kind of get my life back on track again.
Dr. Parker played a key role in the research which led to Mandy being prescribed the medication, so she too is eager to see if there are any changes in Mandy's lower limbs.
It's still quite soon, in 3 months we wouldn't necessarily expect to see anything, so I think we'll be very happy if we see that growth has stopped.
Today's going to be a really exciting day. Hopefully this scan will give confirmation, you know, black and white on paper that the amount of fat in the body is reducing. If that happens, that is really, really amazing.
Thank you. See you later.
Dr. Parker and her colleague Laura Watson compare this scan with Mandy's 2 previous ones. Dr. Semple then analyses their findings. It's a tense wait, but finally, it's the moment of truth.
Mandy, hi.
Hello.
Mandy is about to find out if her legs are shrinking.
It's lovely to see you again. You've been taking the tablets now for about 3 months.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it? How have things been on the tablet? Any sign there's been any change?
The stump, that has changed quite a lot. I've got a figure in my mind that I think I've lost maybe between 6 and 8 pounds.
Actually, according to our scans, you've lost quite a bit more weight than that.
Right.
And if you look at the amount of fat in your legs alone, it suggests that you've lost something like 20 pounds of fat.
Bloody hell.
That's a weight loss of almost 1.5 stone in just 3 months, all as a result of the new medication.
I knew the leg had gone down, but just that much, it's just like, just wow, it's amazing, isn't it?
So despite all my natural caution and my very strong desire not to raise any false expectations, I'm actually very, very optimistic having looked at these results. This is a huge change in weight over a very short period of time. I think the dramatic thing will be now to follow this over the next year or 2 years and see what happens.
Unbelievable news, really is. I mean, I've lost 1.5 stone.
For the first time in Mandy's life, her lower limbs are getting smaller.
Considering that, you know, when Mandy's been weighed in the past, her weight's constantly gone up, you know, to suddenly drop by such a dramatic amount is just totally unbelievable.
Mandy's responding so well to the new medication that she hopes to one day be able to walk again and get her independence back.
Hopefully in the future I will not be bedridden. My life can start again. I'll be able to do things by myself more, which is obviously extremely important to me.
Today is a momentous day for Mandy's family too.
It's probably a day they thought they would never see.
I think it's brilliant news, really, because obviously the more weight she can lose, the easier she'll be able to move around.
But there's one important person Mandy can't tell her exciting news to. Her grandmother Ethel passed away a few months ago.
I just wish that she'd have been around for this year, next year, just to kind of see, you know, the difference that it will make to my life.
If someone had asked me what Mandy's future held a year ago, I would have thought that it wasn't going to be particularly positive. But now, the future's looking incredibly bright for Mandy.
Thank you. You know, thank you for everything that you've done. And, you know, it's just,
You've changed my life. You really have, so thank you.
Mandy Sellars was born with an extremely rare condition, which means her legs and feet won't stop growing.
My left leg has continued to grow at a rapid pace. It's been harder and harder to actually walk.
Mandy is determined to find out why her huge legs keep on expanding.
Having these tests done will hopefully shed a bit of light on exactly what the condition is and what my body is actually doing.
But first, Mandy has to overcome her biggest ever challenge. After a life-threatening infection, she has had to have one of her giant legs amputated.
It came down to it's either me or the leg.
The emergency operation saved her life, but now she has to learn to live with just one leg.
There's something wrong, there's something not right. Oh, come on.
And an amputated stump that won't stop growing.
It is a worry to me where my leg will end up if that continues to grow.
Will Mandy be able to regain her independence by learning to walk again?
I am prepared for it, and now I am going to strive forward and do whatever I can to actually walk again. That's the main goal, to actually walk again.
Accrington in Lancashire is home to a remarkable woman, 36-year-old Mandy Sellars. She was born with a condition so rare that even doctors don't know why her giant legs won't stop growing.
We are not aware of having seen anybody with quite that particular combination of problems. She is unique.
Despite having very large legs, Mandy has always lived alone, without the help of carers.
It does take me longer to maybe achieve something or to be able to do something, but I won't let that stop me from actually living or doing what I want to do.
When you see Mandy, you just think you've got no excuses for not enjoying your life, because even though she has a lot of difficulties, she gets on with things and she lives her life to the fullest.
She's a survivor, because that is the name of the game. You've got to survive. And yeah, she's actually doing it. I hope she carries on doing it and all that, you know.
I do tend to think now I was given this condition because somebody somewhere thought she can cope with that. Yeah, I have my ups and down days, and I think, oh, you know, why does it have to be so difficult just to get on the bed? You know, but that's just how it is, and it won't always be that way.
When Mandy was born in 1975 with deformed feet and legs twice the size of a normal baby, medical staff were bewildered.
They didn't actually let my mum see me for about 2 weeks, I think it was. The doctors weren't sure what it was, and the only thing they actually said to my family was that they didn't expect me to live beyond 2 weeks.
Doctors said that we don't think there's much hope for her.
But Mandy defied the doctors' expectations.
From what I remember, when I was at school, my condition didn't really hamper anything that I ever did. That I could run around and I could play football, which I loved doing.
She used to ride her bike. She did everything what other children were doing around here, and she had friends. Actually, like a normal childhood.
As Mandy reached adulthood, her legs continued to grow, becoming even more disproportionate to the size of her upper body, and making it increasingly difficult for her to walk.
The last 2 years, my mobility actually got worse and worse, in terms that it was harder and harder to actually lift the leg up and throw it through to actually walk.
This is very different.
Doctors have never been able to diagnose Mandy's condition, but her symptoms most closely resemble Proteus syndrome.
In Proteus syndrome, the extraordinary abnormality is that some parts of the body carry on growing inappropriately and not respecting the requirements of the person.
The most famous sufferer of this condition was the elephant man, Joseph Merrick.
Well, it's extraordinarily rare, and that should be emphasised. There's perhaps 100 or 200 cases ever described, and even among those, some of the diagnoses aren't quite secure.
But Mandy doesn't have all the typical symptoms of Proteus syndrome. Her feet are smooth, but in classic Proteus, deep grooves can be seen. There is no cure for Proteus syndrome or Mandy's condition.
My mum said when I was about 7, the doctors had said to my mum and dad that they could give me the option of amputating both my legs, but they said it unlikely that I would ever come through the operation.
He said, well, Mandy might die. I said, well, there's your answer then. I said, you just don't do it.
Even now she is an adult, removing both of Mandy's growing legs remains very dangerous. A double amputation at the hip could cause massive blood loss and leave Mandy unable to walk or even sit up without help.
Throughout the different years in my life, every doctor that I've seen has always kind of been wary and said there is quite a risk in actually having amputation.
But at the age of 35, Mandy suddenly had no choice but to face surgery because doctors discovered one of her giant legs was killing her.
Mandy's problem was a deep ulcer in her foot that had failed to heal. This ulcer was infected.
The infection in Mandy's left leg was poisoning her blood, and she needed an emergency amputation.
I tried to hold myself together, but I broke down. I had to go out of the room because I looked and I thought, Mandy's dying.
It was clear that, you know, the time had come that really something needed to be done.
I didn't have any options. I couldn't go on living with the leg I had simply because it would kill me. It came down to it's either me or the leg.
Doctors decided to amputate Mandy's left leg above the knee.
There was a higher than usual element of risk compared to, say, a standard amputation.
All too aware of the risks, and having been repeatedly told she was unlikely to survive amputation, Mandy prepared herself for the worst.
It was one of the most terrifying things I have ever had to go through. I knew that there was no turning back, even though I didn't want to be lying on the operating table. I didn't want to say goodbye to my family and friends and think, is that the last time I'm going to see them?
And I just remember the wheeling away, and she was obviously scared, and you can see her kind of biting her lip, trying not to cry because she didn't want us to see her crying. I was there with her parents.
And you can just imagine all the things going around in my head, just thinking, am I going to survive? Am I going to come through? If I am I going to be able to manage? What am I going to look like? You know, and if I don't come through, what will happen? Will my mum and dad be all right? You know, will Sue be all right? And I can't do it. I'm sorry.
But Mandy had no option. The life-saving emergency operation to amputate her left leg was groundbreaking and complex.
It took 2 surgeons to actually hold the limb in any one position to allow the 3rd surgeon access to do the operation. Inside, it was clear that the anatomy was very different. The arteries and veins, which were much, much larger than usual. It was technically the most difficult amputation I've ever done.
After 5.5 grueling hours, Mandy woke up.
I heard voices and I thought, I recognised those voices, and it was my mum and dad and Sue. And I just shouted at the top of my voice going, I did it, I did it. Then I kind of knew, you know, that I'd actually survived it.
All credit to them. They actually saved Mandy's life because Mandy was dying. I mean, there's no ifing but arguing about it.
The operation was a success. But will Mandy ever be able to regain her independence?
I know you're trying to help, but I need to learn to do it myself, otherwise I'm never going to get anywhere, am I?
Mandy Sellars' unique condition means her enormous legs just won't stop growing. At the age of 35, a life-threatening infection forced Mandy to have her left leg amputated above the knee.
When they were doing the actual operation, the surgeon told me that they didn't actually realise the weight of my leg, so they actually had to draft in some other surgeons to actually lift the leg up while he cut off the underneath of it. I'm just glad I wasn't awake to see it.
After 4 months in hospital, it's time for Mandy to adjust to her new life with one leg and try to regain her freedom. Today, with the help of her best friend Sue, Mandy is being fitted for a wheelchair.
I'm hoping to get a wheelchair and one that I can actually push myself around in, which is something I've never ever tried before, and I don't know if I have the upper body strength to actually do it. Until I actually get a wheelchair, there's no way I can actually go home at all.
No one knows whether Mandy will fit into the extra-large wheelchair.
Okay, you got it?
Now, use it straight up if you can.
Well, I can't see behind me, so I don't know what you mean straighten up. What? How?
You just need to sit back, but your right leg's kind of in your way.
It's here.
You can sit down if that leg isn't
Well,
going to stop.
somebody's going to need to guide me because I can't.
Okay.
I really can't see.
Straight back in this one. You're straight back. Just a bit further back if you can.
Oh, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't see it. I'm worried about missing it.
But you won't miss it. It's right behind you. If you just come straight back as you are now, you'll come straight back into it. You all right? You okay?
Yeah, please. Okay, that's got it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm better, thanks.
Mandy needs to be able to move her 18-stone weight around in this large wheelchair before she can go home.
It's a bit of my muscles up, won't it? 8 marathon next year.
How does it feel to actually be able to propel yourself? Because you've not done that before, have you?
No, it's nice to have a bit of freedom, I think, just to kind of move around on my own without relying on anybody else to do it. It's hard work even with my muscles, I can feel it. But yeah, it's good. I can enjoy myself all day now, I've got to wheel around. I'm impressed. See you later on.
It's 5 months since Mandy's groundbreaking surgery, and finally, she's well enough to go home.
It is a massive day for me today. I mean, of course, I'm looking forward to it, but it's a scary prospect, it really is.
All right, hold on. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Mandy is determined to drive herself and her friend Sue home, despite the extra difficulties she now faces because of having only one leg.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, heck. We're going to have to just try and shove me the best we can.
Right, 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
Oh,
that's it, we're getting there.
That's better.
Right, that's got it.
Is that all right?
Mandy is fiercely independent and drives her own specially adapted car.
And one of the things I have is what they call a steering ball, and that allows me just to get the steering wheel round so I can go around roundabouts. It also has an extended steering column. How I drive, it's like using a joystick, so that means I pull it towards me to accelerate and push it back towards the windscreen to actually brake. Yeah, I enjoy driving. It's certainly a sense of freedom.
This is the first time Mandy has been home since losing one of her legs.
Quick.
You're all right.
You're all right.
She knows moving her new wheelchair around her small flat will be tricky.
We've always let Mandy do whatever she wanted to do, whatever she was able to do.
Oh, dear.
You've got to experience life for yourself, and you've got to have a try at doing it.
Right, can somebody come and please take these foot plates off? Because I'm getting nowhere fast with it on. I think it's just best to take it off and ride around without it on.
It's hard to watch her. I don't like having to watch her struggle, but I had to because if I'm not there, she's got to be able to do that.
I know you're trying to help, but I need to learn to do it myself, otherwise I'm never going to get anywhere, am I? There's something wrong, there's something not right.
Mandy wants to continue to live at home on her own, so she must learn to get around her flat without help.
I'm trying to kind of count to 10, not swear, keep my calm and do what I need to do. Oh, come on. I know there will be days or there will be moments when I do get frustrated with myself, do lose my temper a little bit with myself, but I think that's to be expected. I'm too stubborn and too independent, and I want to be able to progress. It makes you happy, it makes you feel good inside if you can achieve something every single day. And that's what I hope to do. Whether it's a success or not, I don't know, but at least I'm trying. You know, that is an important part of life, really, to keep on trying.
Since she was young, Mandy's mother, June, has made her trousers and socks to fit her unique body shape.
She could wear children's socks up to being a teenager and then had to start making socks for her. The trousers since she was about 5-year-old. Made my own pattern and started making them ever since.
Now that Mandy's left leg has been amputated, June is altering all her trousers.
With Mandy before, having her left leg 4 inches longer than the right one, the trousers had to be made accordingly. So now I'm having to shorten the left leg by 4 inches and also widen the legs as well.
This is one thing Mandy relies on her mum to do for her.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, just a bit of something to do for her, you know, to keep her on the move or whatever you want to call it.
It's 4 weeks since Mandy came home from hospital, and she's still finding it difficult to get around her flat.
Simple things like just getting up in the morning, having a shower, getting dressed and getting some breakfast, that actually takes me about an hour and a half to actually do that. But the time frame doesn't actually matter to me. The fact that I'm actually able to do it and do it when I want and how I want is actually very, very important.
She's still struggling to get around the flat, and it's quite frustrating for her because she's banging her foot. You know, she's trying to turn corners, she's hitting the door frame, and then she's damaged it and she's got quite upset about it. It's just frustrating.
It's only been just over a month since I actually came out of hospital, but I'm now doing everything for myself. Even things as simple as doing the washing and putting it into the dryer to dry it, that to me is so important because it just gives me a sense of normality. It's like having that normality back that I had before I went into hospital to have my leg amputated.
Even with wider than average doors, getting from room to room in her extra-large wheelchair is a challenge.
It can be frustrating, but these are all kind of changes that I've had to make to my life. I want to stay where I am. I like living here, so hopefully that is the way it's going to stay.
It's taken a few weeks, but Mandy can now dress herself and is regaining a small part of her old mobility around the flat. But outside her home is a different matter. One thing Mandy still can't do on her own is get into her car.
Getting into the car with one leg, I can't explain how difficult that is and how painful it is. I've got to kind of get myself from the wheelchair, stand up and hold on to the door, and then somehow hope that when I bend down that my bottom actually kind of reaches the seat. Yeah. And I can't do this on my own. I mean, more often than not, it's my friend Sue that helps me. That's it. Yeah.
She does have to put quite a lot of weight on me at the moment to get in the car. That's something she really wants to be able to do on her own, because at the moment she's just in her flat all week until somebody's there at the weekend to help her.
Today, Mandy has an appointment to have a prosthetic leg made.
I think a false leg would make a huge difference to my life. That would give me such more independence than I've already got. I can't explain really how important it is.
The prosthetics team have never seen anyone like Mandy before. She weighs over 18 stone, so a prosthesis will need to be incredibly strong. The artificial limb will also need to be extraordinarily large, just under 1 metre in circumference. And it needs to have flexibility built in, as Mandy's leg continues to grow and change shape.
I'm just going to use the tape measure and we're just going to take some measures around. Okay. We're probably going to look at a leather corset. It's got eyelets on the front and lacing. It means because it can be adjustable for her, and we can actually tighten it up if she reduces in size, or it can be actually loosened off if she does actually increase.
Okay, we're going to raise that up. We're going to roll you a little bit to make this.
The first stage is to make a plaster cast of Mandy's leg.
Mandy's case is quite unique, and obviously the size of her residual limb. We've obviously had to consider that when we're making a prosthetic limb.
Pass it to me, I've got it.
Oh, God, that's cold.
The principles are all the same of socket design and technology. So
It was just that on a much larger scale, really.
I think this is going to be my most challenging task, really, using a false leg which is kind of foreign to the body, really.
You feel this warming up now, yeah?
But it's a challenge I'm willing to face, and I'm going to face it head on, and hopefully in a few months' time maybe that I will be actually walking on the false leg and gaining my independence back.
The team will now use the plaster cast to create an enormous leather socket for Mandy's thigh to fit into. This will form the basis of her new artificial leg.
Sorry. I think I'm coming with you there.
That's it.
Oh, dear.
Well done, you.
Yeah, fantastic.
I didn't realise how big it is, because obviously looking down at it myself doesn't look too big, but looking at it in a form like that, it just makes you realise how big it actually is. So they've got some work to do.
Now all Mandy can do is hope that her ever-expanding limb will not stop her from wearing the new false leg.
Just over the last 4 weeks, I think the stump has changed in size. So if that continues to happen, it is a worry to me where my leg will end up. Hey, Jordan.
Will a trip to meet 16-year-old Jordan, who suffers from a similar condition and already uses 2 false legs, offer hope to Mandy?
So it looks like you've got a tan.
Mandy Sellars from Lancashire was born with a rare condition that means her legs and feet won't stop growing.
In some ways, people are always going to remember me, whether they speak to me or not, because obviously I do stand out in the crowd, and that's not a bad thing.
Mandy has driven 200 miles to Cambridge to take part in cutting-edge medical research, to find out more about her unique condition.
Skin looks completely normal, is that right?
Yeah, my skin's always been very, very good. Obviously,
Doctors don't understand why the 36-year-old seems to store all her fat below the waist, or the effect this could be having on her body as a whole. Since she had her left leg amputated above the knee, her stump has continued to grow, and no one knows why.
I'm really kind of interested to know more about my condition, because nobody has ever really been able to answer any questions. I think also, more importantly at the moment, is after having the amputation, really has that had any kind of maybe positive or negative effect on my body?
We want to find out if actually your fat in the lower part of your body, in the legs, is sucking up energy and having a very harmful effect on the rest of the body, then potentially removing that might do you quite a lot of good. However, if actually you are entirely relying on the fat in your legs to safely store energy, then paradoxically taking some of it away could cause you some metabolic harm.
Having these tests done will hopefully shed a bit of light on exactly what the condition is and what my body is actually doing. So it really is worth going through all these different things, no matter how unpleasant they may actually seem at the time.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'll be okay.
Okay,
So if you can drink that within 5 minutes, that'd be great.
After 3 days of exhaustive tests, Mandy will have to wait 3 months for the preliminary results.
Any kind of information that I could be given has got to be so much better than where I stand now with it, because now I just don't know anything. I'm living day to day and waiting to see what life throws at me.
Hi Mandy, it's only us.
Hello.
Back home in Accrington, Mandy's parents have popped in to drop off her altered trousers.
Yeah, you all right? How you doing?
All right, yeah. Doing all right.
Yep.
Hello. Oh, we're having a kiss as well. Oh, there we go. We've got lots of goodies here today. Oh, what?
Well, that's your...
The washing. I wondered what it was. I was going to say they're not all trousers.
Yeah, that's one pair that I've done.
All right.
Yeah.
So is it bigger on both legs then?
Yeah, yeah, because you said you wanted your right one because the muscle's a bit bigger.
Yeah. That should do, shouldn't it? Yeah. Fingers crossed. I'm not trying them on now.
Right, so.
I know I have, a good family who will always support me, believe in me and always push me, and love me. So if you've got that support network, I believe there's nothing you can't really achieve in life.
Mandy takes pride in her appearance, but since the amputation, she's not able to get to her local beauty salon. So today, her manicurist and friend Jenny is coming to do her nails at home.
can tell you've not had a manicure in a while, Mandy. These cuticles are really long.
I know, I'm absolutely terrible. I should smarten myself up a bit.
Well, as soon as you're up and walking, there's no reason why you can't get back to the shop.
That is true. See, I've had my orders now.
So how are you then?
Well, a lot better than I was just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Because obviously I've had my leg off.
Yeah. So how do you feel without it?
I feel loads better. I mean, don't have any infections whatsoever now. I feel fantastic. I feel really, really good. So in that respect, it was worth it for that.
Yeah. Right. So we're up to painting stage now.
Ooh.
What, do you want a dark one?
Let's go with the dark one.
There's 2 dark ones there. One's plum, one's a bit more reddy bronze.
I think I've got blue one.
See, there's me, bringing all the girly colours. So your new leg then, is it going to look like a foot? If you will.
With like toenails and things like that?
Yeah.
I don't think so, as far as I'm aware. I don't know, but...
So we can paint them, maybe? Could be painting your toenails for you.
I know. At least I won't have to reach down. I can just take it off and hold it up and paint it.
Mandy is hoping that her unique prosthetic leg will enable her to walk again.
I am prepared for it, and now I am going to strive forward and do whatever I can to actually walk again. That's the main goal, to actually walk again.
But first, all the muscles in Mandy's upper body need to be strengthened so they can support her weight.
Losing a leg, it changes everything, really. This is a totally different situation than anything I've ever come across in my life. And so it's important to me to kind of keep the strength physically, but also keep the strength mentally as well.
6 months after the operation, Mandy's left thigh hasn't stopped growing. Before she can try to walk on her prosthetic, Mandy's surgeon has to check her stump is fully healed.
Hello, Mandy.
Hiya, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah.
How have you been doing? 6 months now since your surgery?
Is that
Just
long?
over 6 months.
Yeah, I'm doing very, very well. I feel loads better myself.
Do you still feel your toes, your foot?
I do. I mean, the thing I found strange is the fact that I couldn't feel them when I had them, or when I had my toes and the foot. But now I feel it more so now. But it's quite nice. It's not pain.
Good.
It's just like a sensation. And the worst thing is when I get an itch. I just can't scratch it because it's not there.
Do you mind if I have a look?
Not at
See
all.
how the
Go
surgery
ahead.
has done and whether the wound has healed. Obviously we need some help to lift this up. If we can have a look at it. Norma's there to help me too. I'll just have a look and see. There we go.
There we go.
Well, that skin grafted area is really taken very well indeed. And there's no sensitive area at the bottom end here?
Where the skin graft is, that is quite sensitive. It's quite a strange feeling.
I'm just struck by how resilient she is, and I think that's Mandy all the way through. I think she's always been resilient, and that attitude did not change during her recovery. So she recovered very quickly, far more quickly than I actually anticipated. That looks superb now. That's a mature scar. So I don't see that causing any problems. And that's obviously where the skin graft was taken. That's obviously healing too. It'll take a little while. Are there any questions you want to ask me?
I don't think so at this point in time, just that I think next time, hopefully, I'll be walking in to actually see you.
I'd be delighted to see that. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for everything.
All right.
Nice to see you again. I might need to move this right foot, actually. Okay. I'd help you, but I'm slipping off the seat.
Mandy's leg has healed enough to use the new prosthetic as planned. But she's worried it may not fit because her left thigh continues to both grow and change shape.
Hiya.
Hi, Mandy.
Hello.
6 weeks after the cast for Mandy's prosthesis was made, she's about to find out whether her new false leg will fit.
This is it?
This is it, yeah.
This is your leather socket.
Right.
Okay. The idea is we'll have a larger gap here.
Okay.
And it'll be adjustable via some eyelet. There's eyelets in there, some lace.
Right.
So if you can tighten it all up so it can conform to your body.
I think I have gone up a little bit in certain areas.
Okay. Well, let's check that then, and we'll see where we are.
Right.
So that's 91.
So you think you might have gone up in volume, do you?
I do. I can tell a little bit in certain areas.
Yeah.
I've gone up.
96.
I think both the doctors and myself are very concerned about the actual change in the size of my stump. I mean, I know personally, just over the last 4 weeks, I think, since I've actually been here last,
that the stump has changed in size. So if that continues to happen over the next 4 weeks, and so on, you know, it is a worry to me where my leg will end up.
Mandy's left thigh has increased in circumference by 4 centimetres in less than 6 weeks.
I just saw it and I just thought, it's not going to fit. Simply because I knew I'd grown in certain parts of this stump. I just thought, oh, please let my look, you know, be good for once.
Okay, Mandy, ready?
Yep.
A bit like that. There you go. Are you okay, Mandy?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Oof. Right, let's get some. We're going to put some straps around this and tie it up.
Okay.
The socket does fit, so the team can go ahead and make Mandy's prosthetic leg, giving her hope for the future.
I know I'm never going to run around playing soccer again, you know, it's just not going to happen, but having 2 legs, you know, it's just going to make life so much easier. And that's something that I really, really can't wait to see if it happens, when it happens. Not if, when. So is this my actual foot that I'm going to be using?
Yes, this is you.
So does that get covered in anything, or will it stay looking like that?
Yeah, we'll have it all covered over for you.
Right. So does it look like a normal foot? I mean, does it have like little toes and things like that, or not?
Not this one.
Not
that one,
yeah.
no. I mean, I can't paint my toenails.
Unsure of how she will cope with her new prosthetic leg, Mandy is off to meet someone who may be able to give her some advice.
I'm going to go and meet Jordan Whitewood Neal, who's a young man who had both his legs amputated, and now he's actually walking with 2 false legs. So I'm really interested and excited to meet him.
16-year-old Jordan is one of only 100 people in history to have been diagnosed with Proteus syndrome, the condition Mandy is believed to have.
Hey, Jordan. Right, let me turn around and back myself up.
It has affected his legs, hands and neck in a different way to Mandy. After having one leg amputated, Jordan has recently had his other leg removed and now is learning to walk with 2 prosthetics.
I think I decided to have my leg off because it was getting too much, really. I mean, the pain was quite bad. I was having medicine every day, getting hard to walk, just couldn't get as many places, couldn't have a small wheelchair, had trouble getting around the school and everything.
Yeah.
And now it's a lot easier, really. I can buy normal jeans, shoes, get around the school easier.
So what do your legs actually look like? They look like normal legs?
They look like real, like proper legs.
Right.
So they've got like a special foam on, then a foam and then sort of like a stocking over the top.
Right. This stump keeps changing shape. So do you think that yours are going to change shape or grow more? Or?
They just get smaller, actually, I think.
Get smaller, right?
I mean, they swell up at first when you first have the operation. I think they get smaller as far as you go along.
Right.
That was one of my main fears, really, having that happen. But no, they've been fine, actually.
Jordan's success story gives Mandy encouragement in her own bid to walk on her new prosthetic leg.
It is nice to kind of talk to someone who does have a similar type of condition to myself. It seemed like he understood those kind of issues of being in pain, you know, and the positive side of actually having the leg off. Jordan, to me, is inspiring. He just seems a guy that just gets on with it.
Feeling positive about learning to walk again, Mandy is going shopping to buy her first ever regular-sized shoe to fit on her false leg.
I'm actually going to buy a pair of shoes. I've never ever been able to do that in 35 years.
The large boots Mandy has worn until now are made to measure and cost the NHS over £2,000 a pair.
She's quite excited about being able to go for the first time to a shoe shop and choose herself a new pair of shoes. She probably doesn't realise how many different types of shoes there are, so she might find it a little bit hard to choose. I think maybe you need something with a bit of a heel on it, so it's like got a heel like on your other foot, so you can, rather than something that's...
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. I just hope that I can find something that I like. I think something like that's really me.
No, not really.
Many times in the past I've gone past shoe shops and thought, oh, that's nice. You know, if I had like average size feet, I'd like to wear that. I think that'd look good, that, you know, similar colour to that, isn't it? They get some of the funky ones.
Yes.
I think I'm going to go for these ones.
Yeah, in the size 8?
In the size 8, yeah. I can't believe I'm parting with all that money just for one shoe.
You have to ask you get a discount for one.
Discount for one.
Mandy now owns her first 2 pairs of ordinary shoes, some boots and a pair of trainers.
Even though I've spent over £100, I'm still very happy. Well worth the money, I say. I look forward to wearing them at some point in the near future.
Will Mandy's optimism help her meet the biggest challenge of her life? To try and walk again?
Hopefully it will be the time that gives me the most independence that I've ever had in my life. Amputation I recently had was a good thing, or maybe a not so good thing, in terms of how the fat is distributed throughout my body. That will hopefully tell me a lot more about my condition, what's going on, and then maybe in the future that may, fingers crossed in my eyes, hopefully lead to something that will help maybe stop the growth, particularly in my left leg, which is the troublesome leg.
Overall, you can see that the top part of your body, where we can see that you're thin, you have about 5% body fat. That's as thin as let's say, a young male triathlete. While in the legs, you have up to around 50 to 60% fat. Your legs are, if you like, greedy. They're stealing the nutrients which circulate in your body. So I see you as being a malnourished person in the top half and an overnourished person in the bottom half.
The consequences of me having this amputation on the left leg, do you think that would have made any difference to actually how my body's reacting to that, or any changes that could have happened?
Far from having a harmful effect on your metabolism, if anything, may have had a mildly beneficial effect on your metabolism, in the sense that from the studies that we've done, I would suggest that there was less tissue there to steal nutrients away from the top part of your body. So this absolutely isn't a reason to go and suggest further major surgery, but it's reassuring, I think, if that ever became a possibility in the future. I don't think you'd suffer any bad metabolic consequences from that. Now, just in the last week or so, we've received the biopsy tissue from your leg. And what we may be seeing there, actually, in a cell culture dish, is an example of what's been happening slowly and progressively during your life and your legs.
Early genetic results show the cells in the lower half of Mandy's body are growing uncontrollably.
What I think we're seeing there is actual evidence in the cells that they have lost a mechanism which stops them from growing at the right time. But we may be able to use this to give some clues as to medications which might help you in the future.
I think it's hard, isn't it? Because nobody's ever looked into it this in depth before, so it's kind of exciting to me. Even if nothing ever comes of it, just that little glimmer of hope that sometime in the future they could take something to stop it from growing, and that would be fantastic.
Dr. Semple and his team are going to continue to research and analyse Mandy's condition in the hope that one day they may be able to find a way of stopping her legs from continuing to grow.
I feel pretty kind of confident and happy with today's results and what the future may hold, so it's kind of a case of watch this space, what Mandy did next.
Finally, the day has come for Mandy to try to use her artificial leg for the first time.
I think today is quite a significant day. I mean, if my leg does actually fit and I am able to start having physio and start being able to use my leg more and more, it's going to mean a whole new chapter to my life. I think only if you have the will and determination and motivation to achieve in life, you can damn well do it. You can. I think anybody can. We all have obstacles to overcome, but you've just got to keep saying, yes, I can do it.
Mandy's biggest fear is that her new prosthetic will not hold her weight.
Can you just take the foot plate so we can move over, please? I feel quite apprehensive about today simply because if I'm standing up on both my feet, obviously the false one and the real one, I don't think the false one's going to actually hold my 18-stone weight. You know, it probably will do, and I'm sure they've tested it, but it's just my own personal fear that as soon as I start weight bearing, it'll suddenly start bending and I'll start slowly going down to one side.
So I've just got the same sock as last time, okay, so we're just going to pop this on.
Yeah.
To protect your skin a little bit.
It is the first step in a long road ahead, really, so we'll just see how today goes, and then obviously I can judge from today how the next couple of days, weeks, months will pan out.
Give it a good wiggle.
Give it a wiggle. Ready?
Yep.
Mandy is about to stand on her false leg for the first time.
The way I get up when I have to use a frame, I have to do a bit of rocking motion.
It's okay.
Yep. That's the only way I can kind of do it. Come on, Mandy, come on. Oh dear, come on. Get up, get up. Come on, you can do it, come on.
Right, well, you're up and you're in it. How does that feel?
Strange.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Oh, I'm not used to having such a small foot. I think it's going to give way. I just think it's...
No, I know that's... Don't you worry about that.
Not content with just standing, Mandy decides to try to walk.
So in your own time. I can help you guide it through a little bit. Well done. You've taken one step. I think that's pretty good going.
I can take two if you like.
Well, yeah, okay. We've got to get you back, don't forget.
Well, yeah.
Come over it, that's it. Well done.
Once she started, there was just no stopping her. It was just really great to see. You know, she stood up, got her balance, took one step, and then she's like, let's just keep going.
Well done.
If she can do something like that, and then she'll be able to experience life a lot better than what she's at the moment, and which is going to be good for her.
That's it. Hey, something you're doing amazing.
I think the idea of actually learning to walk again, hopefully it will be the time that gives me the most independence that I've ever had in my life.
Despite it being her first attempt, Mandy manages more than 15 steps.
Done really well there. Very impressive. Yeah, did brilliant. So, good things ahead, I think.
You should be proud of yourself, you should.
You're going as well now. Oh, I just feel a bit emotional now, really. I don't really know why. I mean, I suppose it's a big thing, I don't know. If I had to say, I suppose... I don't know, I suppose in some ways I never thought that I would walk again. See?
Mandy has many months of grueling physiotherapy ahead of her to learn to walk again. But for today, she's exceeded everyone's expectations.
It is a little bit daunting knowing that there's such kind of a long road ahead and so many challenges to kind of overcome to be able to walk again. But, like I said, I do want my life back to full capacity. I want to be able to live the life that I want for myself. So to be able to do that, I have to be able to walk again.
I think a lot of people will find that very daunting, but we always say, if anyone can, Mandy can.
All in all, yes, I think Mandy Sellars is up for the challenge.